Hello, happy Monday. Thank you for joining me tonight, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you, replay viewers, for watching, and thank you, YouTube viewers, for watching as well. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery patterns and kits, and I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and we relax and we craft, chill for the evening, and we work on a project together. And I am working right now on the Charming Chevrons quilt by Krista Watson of Krista Quilts. I do have a link in this Facebook post or YouTube post if you're watching the replay at Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube. I have a link to this project. We will be working on it for a while yet, so there's plenty of time for you to join in. On Friday, well, on Thursday, actually, we finished all the chevrons that are going in this direction. So tonight, we're going to be doing the same process that we've been doing for the past couple of weeks with the chevrons that go in this direction, but we are going to be changing it up, and they are going to be going in the other direction. So this way here. So then together we will have enough to make our little chevron pieces like this, our little V's. And then those will be all sewn into our zigzags here. So that is the plan, starting kind of a fresh new stage of this project, even though it's more of the same really, but you know, it's a midpoint, I think, finishing all the ones going in one direction, so I'm excited about that. On Friday, we kind of took a break, and I cleaned up my sewing machine, so that should be all ready to go. I cleaned and oiled my machine, so if you want to take a look at that video from Friday, you can. It's on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies. On YouTube, if you are curious about oiling and cleaning your machine. And I know there's oh, what's that called? That base plate with all the numbers on. The plate, something plate. Anyway, a few of you guys mentioned that I didn't unscrew that and take that off. So maybe once we get sewing again, we're gonna just cut today, but once we get sewing again on that, then maybe I'll unscrew that and we'll clean that up too, because I didn't forget to do that. Oh, Joe, you cleaned yours after watching me clean my machine. That's awesome. I bet you your machine's so much happier now. That was one thing that I was always nervous to do by myself. I always brought it in. The throat plate, that's it, Bonnie. Thanks, Bonnie and Joyce. The throat plate, that I will unscrew and see if there's any dust hiding in there as well. And I did actually sew over the weekend a tiny bit. I sewed on that hedgehog quilt that I'm making, the little quilt that will go behind me here, and I did a few rows on that. I got a few more to go around the border, so I did a little sewing on it. I have not found out anything on the sewing machine belt yet. When we cleaned it, we found there were a few cracks in the belt of my sewing machine, so I need to go back to the sewing machine guy and be like, dude, I just got this belt. Why is it all cracked already? So I haven't done that yet, but hopefully this week, if I can find his email, maybe I'll send him an email for that. So right now we're sewing with it a little broken, but if something does feel weird, then that's gonna be the first thing we check. Luckily, I have my husband's great-grandma's machine. If we have to lose this machine for a little while, we'll still have a machine to go on. Oh, if you have a computerized machine, it may not be recommended to oil. So yeah, so definitely don't just give your machine a cleaning, like just brush it all out, get all the gunk, the like fuzz out. You can do that. But yeah, definitely read your manual and make sure if you should oil it or shouldn't, and just follow the directions. That's what I did for mine. I had my old 70s Kenmore sewing machine manual out, and it had arrows on where to oil it, and I just followed that exactly. So yeah, make sure to grab your manual. And if you don't have a manual, a lot of times you can search on the internet for your machine and the year. Even if you don't know the year, you can just type in like vintage, you know, whatever your sewing machine is, and then probably find a manual there, and that might give you a clue on how to clean it. So we're good to go on that, except for that belt that I'm gonna look at, but it seems to be working okay still. We'll see, but I do wanna get that checked out. But tonight we are going back to our little squares. We have the red square and then the pattern square. And it's where we drew the line down the diagonal and then sewed on either side of the line. That part's all done. So we're doing where we cut it in half along that diagonal, and then we have our 2 half square triangles. So there's one on that side, and there'll be a second one on this side when we're done. It's stuck together. But then we will press both the half square triangles. There we go. We'll press these both, and then we will trim them up to a perfect 4.5 inch square. And that is the plan for tonight. Just this time we'll be placing them so that when we sew them, they will be going the other way. We're going this way now. But I'm so excited. Soon we'll be able to lay out our little V's on the ground and get a plate around. Oh, look at this. There's circles. They're kind of circular on both sides, but totally different patterns. Ooh, I like that. That's fun. I'm just stoked at seeing what all these will look like next to each other. So, all right, guys, I'm going to flip you around. Again, if you want to do this, we are going to be sewing and cutting and all that for a while yet. And then I am going to be doing the whole quilting process of this. That was my main reason for doing this quilt. I want to learn how to free motion quilt, which will be a little bit of a challenge, or a lot bit of a challenge, but I gotta learn somehow. So I'm going to be quilting every other row of this zigzag, just practicing. So, you know, all sorts of different kinds of stitches. But once we get going, once we get used to it, then we can try a few different things. So it's kind of going to be like a sampler learning quilt for me as far as quilting. And that will come up later this year once we get that far. So, all right, I'm gonna flip you around. Let's get trimming tonight. Oh, thanks, Gretchen. I am just loving these fabrics still too. It's just super saturated, and I think that's really fun. But yeah, here, look at these circles, and all these circles are just, and they're about the same size too, so that was kind of neat. I should try and get these together when we sew it for real. So, all right, this is our first one. We had done one earlier just so we could see what a zigzag would look like, a little V would look like. So that guy's done. I might actually press it again just because it's getting kind of crinkled because I've been handling it a lot. But we'll do that later. So I'm going to throw that to the side. And let's start with these guys. So I have my stack. These are all the ones that will go in that other direction. And this should be the equal amount to what we did for the opposite side as well. So we should have the right amount of V's, little chevrons, when we're done here. So all right, there's that line. I'm going to cut along that line. So you see we sewed on either side of that line, and it's just 2 pieces of fabric, our background fabric, that red, and a patterned. Sew them right sides together, so the pretty sides are together. My red doesn't have, you know, it's the same on both sides, but this one, the pretty side you wanna have down. Draw your line. I sewed a 1/4 inch on either side there, and that is it. So we're gonna trim that. So I just have a ruler that's long enough to do that. There we go. And now, because we've sewn on either side, you know, these are going to stay together. So we have our 2 half square triangles. There's one. It's not staying open quite yet. And our second one there. So next up, we're going to just press these. So eventually, if we rotate these just right, I think like, there we go. There we go. Now we have that half chevron going in that direction. This is what we're going for ultimately. But first, let's press them open. Oh, your machine tells you when it needs oil. That's nice. That's nice of it to tell you that. I wish mine would tell me that. I wish mine would tell me when it needed a bobbin and stuff too. That'd be nice. I know some machines do that. They give you a little warning, hey, you're almost out of your bobbin. Those are pretty fancy. Fancy compared to what I got going on here. But man, I'm thinking that's a pretty nice convenience. All right, so I am pressing these open again, and we're pressing them open supposedly because that's going to help us with the quilting. It'll all lie a little flatter. So I'm not pressing the seam allowance to the red side. I'm pressing them open. If I was just doing this quilt by myself, I would probably just press it to the red side or whatever side's darker. But I'm using the instructions. So this is by Krista Watson of Krista Quilts, and I know she likes pressing her quilt, her seam allowances open, and for the sake of there's less, the layers of fabric are more consistent overall in theory. And that, in theory, makes it easier to quilt. Like it all just is more of the same versus like a thick layer of fabric on one side of a seam or something. So we're giving it a go. I mean, that's why I like doing, that's why I don't do all my own projects here. I like doing other people's projects as well, because it's a chance for me to learn something new and see how other people do it and the reasons why and everything. So we're doing it how she's saying, because I haven't done it like that before, just all open seams. So all right, next stage is I want to cut it to 4.5 inches. That's according to the instructions what I need to cut this down to, and I have this ruler that happens to be 4.5 inches, which is awesome. It's an OmniGrid ruler. I got it as a set. There's a 6.5, 4.5, and a 2.5 inch ruler in there, which is nice. This has the diagonal on there. So I can just put that diagonal right on my seam, make sure that I have the edges coming off all the sides, and I just need to trim those down. And by having a ruler that's the same size, it makes it super easy. And I have this little rotating cutting mat, which speeds things up too. I don't have to move my ruler, and I don't have to move my fabric at all. I can just rotate the ruler. Yeah, I'm hoping, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it ends up being a challenge to match our V points by pressing it open like this. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, I'm thinking about that too. We may have to pin through the seams just to make sure that we're matching up both seams. But we'll tackle that when we get that far. I would like to lay out all of these half chevrons on the floor and kind of rearrange them, or on, you know, you can do it on your design wall or whatever. I'm doing it on the floor of my living room. But I want to kind of rearrange the half chevrons before I sew them into full chevrons. So we'll see how that goes. All right, I'm just kind of laying them out. I got the 4.5 inch squares here. We want them going this direction. So I'm just gonna put the bottom one on the top, and that's how I'm gonna have my pile. So I'm gonna lay out, I'm gonna keep stacking up on this pile here. And then when I sew, I can just take the top one off, put it down here, and I'll have that chevron going in the correct direction right away. So that's our first one of the night. I am using a Rowenta travel iron. I do have a link to it in my Facebook post here if you want to like quickly get to it. I'm loving it so far. I used to have my big iron down here, like my normal sized iron, but it got too heavy. This was nice to, just for what I need in the evenings here, it's nice to just flop it down. It's not so heavy. And I can still put water in it if I want to do steam. So yeah, I was hurting my arm and wrist lifting it up, and it was just huge, and I kept burning myself. I'm kind of working in a very small space here. So this iron's working great. I mean, if I had to press a whole quilt or something, like a quilt top, I'd probably break out my other iron and try and find a larger ironing surface than what I have here. But for this little piecing stuff, I do really like using this small iron. It's been working great. Then if I travel, I can just bring it with too. What would make it even better is if it was cordless. But I'd have to look for one of those. I don't know how well that would work. I'm retraining my brain now. Yeah, the blacks have to go to the other direction. Yeah, I know. I have to retrain my brain because we've made so many that are going in this direction. Luckily, I have that visual just at the top of my table. I have, so I'll see. So there's my stack that I already did. That's the angle that we need to do it with the new angle. So I keep glancing up there just to make sure that I have my seams, my chevron going in the right direction. You used fork pins to make sure your seams matched on your jean quilt. Oh, Mary, I don't know what those are. Fork pins. I'm going to have to look that up. How did that make it easier to match your seams? I will have to look into that because I'm totally curious on that. Yeah, I kind of like projects. I mean, this is really like with squares and stuff where you have the seams going in the opposite directions, and then you can kind of nest the seams together to get really nice points. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how this open seam is going to work, but it'll be fine. I'm not too worried. It's 2 pins in one. So do you just, is it just 2 points of contact along the seam, or how do you do it so that the seam lines up? I'll have to do some research on that. But they sound fun. Fun new gadget. New to me gadget. Oh, the seam holds on each side. Huh. Interesting. I'm gonna have to check those out. All right, yeah, retraining the brain for sure. Ah, that's the wrong way. There, like this. Yeah, so if we just rotate them both in a different way, then that's our old shape. We need this way, so we have the chevron going in this direction. All right, that one's good. So we will be here a while working on these chevrons, half chevrons. But after this, the next step after we sew these together is we get to actually lay out the quilt. Oh man, I did not cut that well. I'm just gonna eyeball it. I think it might be time to change the blade. We kind of talked about that a little bit, but I thought I'd give it a try. Before I changed it, so I don't know, maybe tomorrow I'll have to change my rotary cutter blade. We'll see how it goes. The fork pin is sharp and shaped like a U. Huh. But less, a long U shape, 2 pins on either side. Check them out. I'm gonna, Patricia, that sounds interesting. I'm curious how it helps in particular to match the points better. So I watched Super Bowl stuff from like the moment it started all the way through to the Jimmy Fallon thing yesterday. I wanted to see all the little Minnesota, Minneapolis bits that they did. I didn't want to miss any of that, so That was kind of fun. I don't think I've ever watched that much football-related stuff in one sitting before. It was fun, though. Got some work done. And, ooh, got fuzz all over there. And I was literally watching the Super Bowl for all the bumpers where they would show little bits of Minnesota, presumably. That was kind of fun. We managed to get out and look at all the stuff on Friday. So we got to see all of the, they had like a little snow hill in the middle of the city on Nicollet Mall, and got to see that. And there was this whole thing where dogs would pull people up the hill as they cross-country skied. I forget what that's called. It's an actual sport, though, but that was kind of fun. Resembles old-timey hairpins lady. Okay, so I think I have an idea of what they look like. I'm just kind of unsure how I would use them yet. So I'll look into that. Do a little research on that. There we go. So I don't have any problem cutting these. Maybe I'm just pressing harder when I cut the edges. But yeah, when I've been going down the diagonal, it hasn't been cutting all the way, which makes me think I need a new blade. All right, this way. There we go. Hello, Lorraine. Thanks for joining us. I think you should stop for our Fabric 2 personal fabric shopper. That'd be fun. That'd be a good job. When you use them, they hold down both sides of the seam when it's pressed. Oh, I see. So it holds the seam open. Because when you pin, you can put them in both the seams at once. Is that kind of the point? Because you can put it like down the center on either side of the seam. That would kind of make sense. Oh, hello, Helen. Oh, I still like this one. It's just really fun and graphic. Just kind of opening the seam and then getting the point of my iron in there. Yeah, Gretchen, I get what you're saying. You want your points to all match up. So I think that's a little different. Like, I don't know if you remember when we were paper piecing on the Splendid sampler, but we would put a pin straight through the point on one side and then go through the point on the other side. Maybe I can show you here in a sec. I'm gonna I'll press this open and trim it, and then I'll show you kind of what I'm thinking. So it's an extra step for sure to take the time to do it, but if you really want those points just perfect, then this would be something to do. So I'll kind of show you what I'm meaning in a moment here. Each one you cut, oh, I think is the fun one. It's just nice seeing those edges cleaned up when you trim it too. Thanks everyone for your shares and likes and everything tonight too. If you have anyone you think might be interested in making this quilt, be sure to share with them. I mean, this is a big part of the process, what we're doing right now, just this trimming. But I do have videos for the whole rest of it. Every single video from beginning to end, you know, of the whole process will be on YouTube for this whole project. So if you wanna join in the entire process, I'm here every night doing it, and those videos are up on YouTube at Penguin Fish Movies as well. Yeah, the pink and red are like, I like this, you know, it just jars into there. It's kind of fun. All right. I'm so confused on these angles still. There we go. So there's our half chevron like that. So let's take a look at the 2 half chevrons that we have done. So here's the one that we have going in that one direction. Let me just press it quick. I think that'll help with this, so because it's just not as open anymore. I'm just going to press it again. And then we'll take a look at those corners, getting those points to match up. Just getting these seams open again. Okay, and we'll grab this one, this guy here again. Okay, so what you're talking about here is when we sew them together, we want to make sure that, I'll come in like this. We want to make sure that, you know, here's the seam allowance. We want to make sure that that point is in the exact spot of this point right here. So in theory, you know, you'd put these together and you'd sew, and then it'd perfectly be matched up. So let's see if I can just open this up to give you kind of a visual of that. There, so with the seam allowance, now, you know, now these points should match up right there. So if you want to have it match perfectly, one thing you can do is you can take a pin and you can go straight down through one side. So when it's pressed open, some of your background color here will show. So there you can see that tiny little triangle. When that comes to the point right there, that's where we want to put our pin. There, like that. And you can check the front, make sure that pin is going right through to that point. And then you take that pin and you put it right through the point of this one. There we go, like that. So now it's through both of the points. So now I'm just going to kind of shimmy the ends together here, or the edges. And now I want to get that pin so it's straight, perpendicular to the seam. So I don't want it angled this way or this way, because then it's going to shift our seam. We want those seams exactly on top of each other. Remember, this pin is where the point is. And then I want to make sure that the edges are together. And at this point, you can grab a Wonder Clip or another pin. You know, throw it in there. And then one on this side as well. Make sure that that's still vertical there. All right, and another pin. So that's what you could do. So now in theory, when you go through this part here, and actually now I would just kind of take that pin and while I'm still holding it, go like there. So now this should still be together. So now as I sew my 1/4 inch seam allowance like this, I got to remember that right when I get to here, I got to go through that point right there. But now since I've pinned it in just the right spot and did that little vertical pin all the way straight through, that point should be at the exact point of this side over here. So see this little, you got your background fabric poking through there. So now both of your points, as long as you sew right through that point, it should go through the point on this side too. And yes, so technically, I mean, this is if you want to be really exact. However, we did trim these all perfectly the same. So when we do our 1/4 inch seam allowance, in theory, without doing anything, they should match up. You're totally right, Sue. This is just like a backup. I mean, we might do this for one just to give it a try like this, but ultimately I'm just gonna sew, and I'm gonna assume that I've trimmed them correctly and they're all the same size, and I'm just gonna aim for that little point. You can probably see it better on this side. I'm gonna aim for that little point that that little triangle makes from our seam allowance, and that's it. So that is how, another way just to really make sure that your points are gonna match up. Oh, that's a good, I can do that, Mary. I'll have to look. I've had these pins for a long time, but I do really like them. They are really long and really thin, and the thinness of them is really what I love about them. Man, I got them a while ago, but I bet you I could find what they are again. And they have the little glass heads, which is just kind of cute. The benefit of a glass head pin is that it won't melt underneath your iron if you accidentally are pressing with it there. All right, let's do a few more of these. Scooch over here a little bit. Yeah, I'll do a search and see if I can find some of those pins. Alrighty. Man, I'm making soup stock in our slow cooker. I'm gonna let it go overnight, like bone broth soup stock, and it has this smell, which it's fine. It smells like broth, but it's like permeating the house right now. I just keep smelling the soup stock. Getting things done, trying to eat healthy and trying to make my own stuff and see how it goes. And I ran out. I usually make a whole pile of it and then use it for soups and then, yeah, have it available. And I'm out, ran out. Oh, Patricia, we should be good. Everything's good on my end here yet. Here's that red, white, and blue block that I think would be good for like a Quilts of Valor quilt. Yeah, if you get your diagonal line of your ruler right on that diagonal line of the seam, then in theory we shouldn't have any problem matching up those corner points. They should just occur. All right, that looks good. Yay, all right. There we go. I have such trouble with these triangles, like rotating them to just the right direction. I always feel like I'm gonna get it wrong. Still really like this fabric. Vegetable stock. Oh, it's hard. Stock was hard for you to get tasting right. So right now I'm just making kind of bone broth. So it's just beef bones in water, basically. I did put a few vegetable scraps in there. I always save, whenever I cut carrots, like I save the tops and the, like the bottoms and tops of that, and I save like onion skins. I didn't really have too many of those racked up though. And then I put it in a freezer bag and put it in the freezer, and whenever I make soup stock, I throw it in there. This one is going to be mostly a bone broth, and then you put a little apple cider vinegar in there too to help break down the bones a little bit, and should have some nice healthy bean, I was reading something, bone broth when we're done. Yeah, and then after it's done, then I put a bunch of other stuff in. And they're much more flavorful in summer when I make the bone broths, because in summer we have a lot more carrot tops and celery tops and bottoms and onions, and I don't know, for some reason I don't go through them as fast in winter. All right. Is anyone excited about the Olympics at all? I'm not. I mean, I usually like watching some of the Olympic stuff, but it's on NBC, and that channel does not always come in very well. I was actually surprised for the Super Bowl. It came in spick and span and clear on the TV on NBC, which never happens. Usually we don't have any reception or just very limited reception on NBC. But we kind of thought, oh, you know what? I bet you it's because there's no air traffic, and there's no like air traffic blocking our signal. Because for the Super Bowl here in Minneapolis, they had like a 30-mile radius no-fly zone. So that includes the airport, which is kind of goofy. And it includes our house. So there was no planes flying at all. And usually we hear planes going overhead all the time. But there were no planes, and we had crystal clear TV. So that's my current thesis, is the airplanes are blocking our reception. So luckily we got to see all the fun Minneapolis stuff going on, because Chandler came in. But I don't know if I'll get to see much of the Olympics, though, which is a bummer. But yeah, I think ice skating starts on Thursday, and then the opening ceremony is on Friday. It'd be fun to see some of that. I think I like watching Winter Olympics a little bit more than Summer Olympics, but I don't know, maybe that's not true. I don't know. I like watching all the skiing. Oh, your daughter's in South Korea on business, not far from the Olympics. Oh, fun. Oh my gosh, she's filming the dog meat market farms in South Korea. Wow. Holy cow, that's kind of a fascinating job, Carla. Geez, that's something else. Going to the dog farming factories. It's amazing the jobs that are, the careers that are out there. Minneapolis did it so good. Beautiful city. Atlanta went up to get advice on security. Oh yeah, that's right. I read about that. Oh, you can't watch her films with the dogs. Yeah, I don't know. That would be pretty rough for me too. Oh gosh, yeah, I don't think I could do that either. He also gets the same day surgery on Thursday. Oh, so he's watching Olympics while he recovers. Well, that's good at least. All right, this one is just big enough. We must have sewed the seam allowance on this one a little too big. Man, this weekend on Sunday, in the morning a little bit, I got up early, and in the morning I sewed on the border of my hedgehog wall hanging quilt a little bit, and it's made out of jeans. And I put the walking foot on my sewing machine, so I thought that would help. But man, those jeans are, I've never tried really quilting with it yet. You know, even though I'm just straight line quilting, those jeans were so stretchy still. It was tough to sew on. And it's such a little project too, so it's making me nervous about this, but it is jeans versus quilting weight fabric, so probably more difficult in general. But I was thinking, oh, I'll just whip this up really quick. I will go around, I just have to go around like 5 times or something, straight line quilting. But I only got like the border, or the like right around the center image, so I don't even count that as a row, and then like the first row around that. That's all I got done. And it was a little bit of a struggle too, and I think I got like 4 more of those to do. But it did feel good getting a little further on it. That's just going to be one of those things that you tick away here and there and get done too. But man, I was hoping I'd get that border sewn, and then all I'd have to do is bind it and put a hanging, what are those called? I want to say hanging envelope, but that sounds weird. The little tube that you can put a stick in to hang it on, man. Yeah, I did use the walking foot, so I thought that would help, but I'm wondering if maybe it'd be better to not use a walking foot, and so that the top can slide a little bit more, because it was getting bunched up on the top. All the jeans were. So I'm wondering if I don't have a walking foot, I could just kind of shush it under a little bit. I don't know. Always something, right? There's always a little surprise whenever you work on a project. Sleeve, that is it, Libby. The sleeve. So after the quilt, the little wall hanging is done, I'll make a sleeve, and that's like a tube that you put on the back. And then you can put a little rod through there, like a dowel or something. And then you can hang it up from that dowel, so you're not putting as much stress on the quilt, basically. So after binding it, I'll do that. I haven't made many of those, and I don't really enjoy it because you have to kind of hand sew it. Can you loosen the pressure foot tension? Oh, I don't know if I can do that. The pressure foot tension. I don't know if I have control over that, Lucy. I'm gonna try one of those. Oh, those sliding mats for the machine. So I've heard of those. I have not tried one of those. Sue, are you talking about like those like mats that you put on for quilting, and it's supposed to make everything really slippery so it's easier to move the fabric around? Is that what you're talking about? After just doing this little border on this quilt, it's not even free motion quilting, I'm kind of wondering about that as well. I kind of want to try it without first, because I just got this extension table, and I don't know, I feel like it's nice and slippery and smooth, but maybe it's a whole nother world of slippery by getting one of those mats for quilting. I don't know. We'll see. I'll look into it. Might be a new gadget I need, right? You think the pressure foot tension might be the knob on top of the machine? Huh. The presser foot tension. Oh, I see what you're saying. The knob on top of the machine there. Huh, I have never touched that before. I could give that a try. That freaks me out a little bit. But I'll have to research that at least. That's kind of interesting. Guess I've never even paid attention to that knob up there before. Oh, so I heard about that too, Helen. So people that didn't, there's a thing where someone didn't want to have that sliding mat, didn't want to get the specialized sliding mat. All we're talking about is it's like a sticker, I think, almost, and you put it on your surface, and it's supposed to be like really smooth so that when you quilt, you can move it around really easily. Lucy, I gotta ask you a question. Are you talking about this this little guy up here? This is the only thing I can think of that you might be talking about. This guy to loosen this down here. I have never tried that before. Table seemed to work well. The other quilt you did, Deborah. That's what I'm thinking. That this extension table. Oops, sorry guys. There we go. This extension table that I got, I think is pretty slippery. Like it seems slippery, so I don't know if I need that. Oh, the Supreme slider. So if you guys are interested, that's what it's called. The Supreme slider, this sticker that you put down. Okay, so that is that little knob on top. So that it just makes it so that the presser foot doesn't squeeze down as much. Like it just like stays up higher. Is that, man, I'm gonna have to experiment with that. I've never even thought of that before, that little knob at the top. Maybe I'll play with that. I'll have to mark it or something so I know how to get back to where I was, but maybe I'll play with that and see if that affects my jean quilting. That is the right button. You loosen it is based on the weight of the fabric. Huh. So I'm, it's jeans on the top, and it's a quilt, so it's really thick, and those jeans just seem so stretchy, so they keep wanting to bunch up in front of the presser foot. So that would make sense. Just loosen it so it allows more to go underneath it. Ooh, if that works, I'm gonna be happy. Okay, we're gonna give that a try. See, this is why I love doing these scopes. You guys just solve all my problems for me. But like, I've learned so much more from doing these with you guys in the evenings than just putzing around on my own, that's for sure. Or the number of layers you're sewing. Oh yeah, because the number of layers I'm sewing is quite a bit because it's a quilt. I'm using a 70, what is it, a 70-30? Is that the measurement? A 70 needle right now. That's what I was using for the jeans. Normally I wouldn't use that for the jeans, but I didn't want to change it because I knew I was going to use it for this project, and we just put it in. I thought, I'll stitch with this couple of rows. But yeah, it was getting pretty bunched up under my needle and just pushing fabric around. Ooh, Alicia, yes, share. If any of you guys are, working on a crafty project or whatever it may be, whether it's this quilt or something else, I'd love if you shared it in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. Just do a search. I have a link on this post, but otherwise you can do a search for Penguin and Fish Crafters. There's a couple of things, but look for the one that says Crafters on it. And then click join, and I will let you in. I have to do that manually, so it give me time to see it. And click OK, and then after that you can post photos in there. But it's really fun to see what everyone's working on. Everyone's experimenting and trying things and finishing projects and working on this project too. And it's just fun to see everyone's different fabrics, what that looks like. So yeah, it's a fun group. All right. Still having trouble like getting these angles immediately. these triangles rotated the right way. Ooh, you're doing a 3D block. Holy cow. You just need to add the borders. Well, that sounds pretty exciting. Yeah, I feel like I'm pressing a little bit harder than I should have to be for this, so I don't know. Well, if I remember, I'm going to have to change this needle. Or not needle, the rotary cutter blade. All right, flip. I like this purple and red together still. I still like seeing what they look like when I open them up. I'm pretty excited to start sewing half chevrons together though to make the full chevron. You know, I still think, you know, you can lay two things out next to each other, but it's still not the same as when they're actually sewn together. Like, they gel together all of a sudden. They, like, meld together. You're not, like, trying to imagine what they would look like together. And I don't know, it makes a difference, I think, in how it looks. So I'm excited for that. Ooh, this one barely fits too. All right. There we go. Now it's all cleaned up. We just finished a Kim Deal quilt. We'll try to post picture. Awesome, Connie. All right. We got a little mini stack going here. So we'll do this for a couple days until we have a stack built up a little bit, and then we'll start sewing them into our half chevrons, our second half chevrons, and then we'll continue because we'll have a pile of stuff that of these to go through. So we'll trade off sewing and cutting just to change things up a little bit. So I think we can do maybe one or two more tonight yet. Ooh. Oh, you just finished embroidering the horned owl from my book. Oh, yay, Irene. I definitely want to see that. How fun. Yeah, in my book Sew and Stitch Embroidery, I have a couple little owl pillows in there. Open. There we go. Yeah, the nice thing about this travel iron is that it does have kind of a little tapered point here. So that's nice for getting these seams open. Oh, Alicia, I'm super excited. Oop, thought I did both of them already. Super excited to get this quilt done too, just to see what it looks like together. It's gonna be my take a nap on the couch quilt. It'll be just the right size for that, I think. Oh man, it's 0 degrees. It's not pleasant. We went out on Friday to check out all the Super Bowl stuff, and ooh, it was cold. But I think it was actually 7 degrees. But man, when the sun's shining, it's that fake sun where it's actually, you know, super, super cold, like take your breath away cold. So it looks pretty, but it's a trickster this time of year. But yeah, it's 0 degrees. It might actually be negative right now. And then if there's any breeze at all, then it's like negative, feels like negative 30, you know. It's ridiculous. It's not pleasant at all. When we went out, I wore every single like layer I could. So I had long underwear on, and then you know, a sweater and jeans, and then I had some outer pants, some like special, I don't know, windbreaker, but you know, like, I don't know, camping sort of pants. Some heavy duty pants on the outside of the long underwear and my normal pants, and then my ski jacket on, and wool ski socks, and boots. I think I went wrong with the boots though. They were kind of hiking boots, and I'm like, oh, these will be good. They're good for walking, because we were going to be walking a while. But man, my toes were cold. And you know, you're only as good as your weakest link, right? And that was definitely my toes. I needed some sort of upgrade to my what I was wearing there. But everything else was great. Oh, you laid out all your chevrons yesterday. That's awesome. Design wall is a tad too small. No. Not sure if you'll keep the layout. Yeah, that's what's so fun is once you're done and have it all laid out, you can take a photo of it and then move things around and see if you like that better. And we'll do a little bit of that. I mean, and you don't even need to make it chevrons. On the back of, I think in the pattern here at the end, she even shows like a few other examples of ways that you can rearrange things so they don't look quite like chevrons. So there's definitely options with these half square triangles. Oh, Gina, we didn't have to park far at all. We actually got lucky. So if we would have, I mean, Friday, we figured, oh, people will be at work and stuff still maybe, so maybe it won't be that busy, and we're going in the middle of the day. But, you know, it was still really busy. But we just happened to managed to park a few, like a block and a half or so away from Nicollet Mall. So Nicollet Mall is where they had all the fun stuff, like all the fun winter stuff happening, and food trucks and just events and all that, little stages and fun things going on. So that was Nicollet Mall, which is a road that they completely closed off basically. And it's usually closed off anyway, but usually it's only for buses. But now it was completely closed off. And we were just like a block and a half away from that. But we got lucky. Like someone was just leaving and we're like, oh, we're going here. So that worked out great. My husband went on Saturday as well, and he just, he Ubered it up, which I think was smart because he said it was super duper busy Saturday night, which makes sense. That's when they were having all the parties and all that sort of thing. Bands and all sorts of stuff. It was fun though. I'm glad I got down there to check it all out. It was fun going down there, and then fun watching it all the next day, or on Sunday yesterday. See all the little fun things people were doing. Like we were just there watching that spot. It was fun. And it was fun watching Jimmy Fallon and have him talk about Minnesota stuff, and seeing the opener for it, and those are all Minneapolis landmarks and stuff at the beginning during his opener. Like the title opener, sequence opener. That was fun. It took a while to arrange them, I bet. I know, that's what I'm a little worried about, Lucy, when I lay all these chevrons out. The only place big enough for me to do that is on the floor. Like even if I had a design wall, I don't really have space on the wall that'll be big enough. So I'm gonna do it on the floor. And yeah, I'm like, okay, we'll have to make the decision right away so I can get it done. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys, I think that was it for the night. So we do have a few here going. Not too many, but we're going to just whittle away at this for a while. So once this gets a little taller, then we'll start sewing them into the half chevrons. So they start looking like this, ultimately. But yeah, so we'll do like at least a couple more days on trimming these and making a pile. Didn't make a dent at all in here, I don't think. This is one of those magic piles that will always stay this size no matter how long we work on it. It feels like so, but we'll keep going. We eventually went through the other pile, but we'll keep going. So it'll be this same thing for the next few nights, and then we'll start sewing it together. But all right, guys, I'm gonna flip you around, and we'll call it a Monday. Hello. So thanks again for joining me, guys. I think I have something a new little gadget to share with you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm hoping to do that, so stay tuned for that. It'll be kind of fun. And yeah, I'll be here tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And again, I'm Alyssa Thomas, and you're on the Penguin and Fish page. So just join me here again at 8:30 p.m. Central Time here on the Penguin and Fish page. And this video will go up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies if you want to watch the replay, and just click subscribe there, and then it should come right into your email when it's all uploaded. So awesome, guys. It was nice chatting with you again after a weekend away. Nice seeing all your names pop up again. So awesome. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Good night.